At www.spreaker.com, create your own radio show and find thousands of exclusive radio channels.
It's showtime, and you're listening to Florida Real Estate Radio, where you'll hear about what's relevant and where to find opportunities and solutions in Florida real estate. Right now, live in studio, here's your host, Brian Heckman.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us today on Florida Real Estate Radio. So glad that you are tuning in, and you're going to be really happy that you did. We were able to get a great real estate agent in here today, Bill Szydlowski, who is a veteran agent with Future Home Realty, and he's going to share with you some really cool perspectives on the pre-approval process, which is going to include something really interesting that every single buyer and every single seller absolutely 1,000% needs to go over, and most of them don't really look into right out of the gate. So we're going to talk about that, get into a little bit of stuff about first-time buyers, and Bill's going to talk about why working with a real estate agent that's like, you know, a real live human being versus someone on the internet is so crucial to cut back wasted time and wasted effort in the home buying process. So, Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice being here, Brian.
So great to have you in. Thanks so much for carving this out in your calendar. So why don't we do this, Bill? Why don't we start by sharing when and how you got into real estate and why you are still a real estate agent today?
I got into real estate just as a lark because I was unhappy with my agent back in 1988.
No kidding.
When I was buying a new house, and she was frustrated also. She was a new agent, and nothing wrong with that, but it was like she saw my frustrations. So she said, well, why don't you become an agent? Why don't you take a class? So I did. And this was 1988, and I did real estate in the Chicagoland area for about 11 plus years, all sorts of commercial, residential, whatever. And then when I moved to Florida here, I was looking for something to do after about a year here, and my wife was already in real estate. So we got together, became a team. So it's been since 2004, and it's been very, very good. It's had its ups and downs, as we all know,
sure,
because of the market. But it's been it's a very good career because I like to be around people and I like to help people, including first, second-time buyers, including people who are frustrated in getting properties or whatever. So
got it.
It's you've got to want to help because that's where it's at.
Right. So you've been in the Tampa Bay market here since 2004 in real estate. All right.
Yes, it's going on 9 years.
Right. Very good.
Yeah. So it's been like I say, it's rewarding because when you have a very happy seller, a very happy buyer,
mm-hmm.
Which we really try to make sure that they are, it's good returned to you. It's like paying it forward.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
our broker always says to pay it forward.
Yep.
So it's a good thing.
You got it. I bet you right now, this time of year, you're extra happy that you're in Tampa Bay and not up north in Chicago, huh?
True. So getting back down to freezing and snow.
That's right.
So fortunately, we don't have it here.
That's right. Well, let's do this. Let's kind of get into the reason that we were kind of chasing you down to have you on the show here. So, talk about this whole pre-approval process with buyers, which really does impact sellers as well, because of course everyone wants to have somebody that can actually get to the closing table. So, why do you think it's so important for buyers to get pre-approved? And then what is this extra stuff that people are not doing that they probably need to do in that process?
Well, Brian, it's the pre-approval process gives a buyer a very, very good idea of what they can and cannot afford. They have to bear their financial soul, as I call it,
right.
to somebody, because they're going to be asked information to get information that they never thought they had to. But on the other hand, if they're comfortable with their mortgage broker, and which they know they'll work with, they will also get a pre-approval that says, here's what they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says they have to buy that amount of money, go to that level, but at least they will know where they are placed in the market. And it does, many, many times I get buyers look at all sorts of properties, and the first thing I do is tell them, hey, have you talked with a mortgage broker? Have you got that pre-approval process? And they usually say, no, why? And I go through the process. Same it's to your benefit. You may be comfortably excited because you will have found that you can afford more than you think you can.
Right.
On the other hand, because your place list price is out, you have to go there. You can see if you're happy with the market and the type of properties you're seeing in the level you're at, that's great. A lot of times people find out they got something wrong with the permit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to go to a point of having putting a contract in and find out that you can't get a mortgage or what the house you wanted isn't going to happen because there's this little the head that comes out of your credit report and all of a sudden bites you.
Right.
I mean, so in reality, it's a very good idea. Not 75-80% of the time, most buyers who come to us haven't had done a pre-approval.
Right.
So then we either send them to you or to other people to wherever, depending on how their fit is and what they're looking for.
Right. So like that's the biggest thing. And we start this process as much as a year out with people. Very common that they're 90 days to 6 months out from buying a house and they meet with somebody like you just kicking the tires around. Hey, what does a $200,000 house look like? What can I buy that house with the big old front porch that's a nice bungalow style home? And then they quickly realize, okay, first is how much can I really afford? And they come back to us and it's like, we love talking with people that are 90 days out to 6 months because we're going to be around in 90 days to 6 months. That's fine. We'll close a loan then. But just then we have a lot more time to be able to do the right thing for people and give them some time margin to figure things out, especially when there's some stuff that needs to get tweaked out. So I think that's almost the best thing to do is do it well in advance of when you want to buy.
And when you do that, it's a lot easier on you when you put the offer in so that you can everything goes smoothly.
Right.
And
right.
there are no hiccups that occur.
So let's talk about this other aspect of this whole pre-approval process. We were talking a little bit about this before, how each of us respectively had identified this issue kind of early on in the process. But let's talk about the insurance part of getting pre-approved and that process.
Well, when you've got your heart set on the house, you have to look at what's the cost going to be. Can you afford things like insurance? Could there should be a requirement for flood insurance on the property? And then can you get it? I recently had one where it was a little small house in the middle of urban development, and they wanted $5,300 a year for flood insurance. That can't happen.
And this is not on the peninsula down in South Tampa. This is up in the suburbs here. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So that it's insurance guys don't even understand it. Why there's this requirement or this issue, but it does make a sale not happen.
Right.
So there's some things that have to be looked at when you become when you have a contract. The first thing you do is look at, hey, can I get insurance and can it fit the needs of the pre-approval?
Right. And that one scenario you gave me earlier, that was a ridiculously high flood insurance premium for that property, right? I mean, that was at like 5% of the price or something, wasn't it?
Yes, and typically it's for $500 a year. This particular house, because of how it was built.
Right. So 5%. So I mean, just to give like people that are listening an idea. So imagine you put an offer in a house, you're all excited, and then let's say make it easy, $100,000 purchase price, and your flood insurance is $5,000 a year. Immediately, that's a dead deal.
And whereas the homeowner insurance is $1,000 a year.
Right. Unbelievable.
So those are things that we have to help and make sure that the
right.
buyer understands and gets that information early on in the process, so they don't pay for things like inspections, appraisals,
exactly.
Because all of a sudden they end up having to walk away from the deal and spending money that they shouldn't have.
They did not need to, right? That's why one part of that, what we do is we always have to give estimates, of course, on the mortgage side, but those were very clear that those are estimates. And as soon as we've got properties identified, we're working with the real estate agents to find out, like, well, great, you have 123 Maple Street you're buying. Let's go get a quote from an insurance agent. I don't care who they use, but I just know the people that we refer to for insurance are going to give them a pretty good quote. Or like I was telling you, we had a situation the other day where it was a previous sinkhole issue. It was fixed, but the guy that I referred to for insurance is like, yeah, we just won't do it. Here's why. Somebody might do it. And then they went out, and I think it was under $100,000 purchase price, and I want to say it was $2,200 for anybody. And right away, the guy said, I'm not interested at all. And as we spoke about, there are some loopholes between what's disclosed and what's not on sinkhole issues. So it came out in that process, but ultimately there's a showstopper. But the good thing was it was a showstopper very, literally 24 hours after, we got the contract in. And what ends up happening is still a very good positive thing for the buyers because they just got to go find a new property and not waste a lot of time and money.
Well, in this case, the bank owned the property. We had nobody to go back to find out what the cost was insured. Typically, the person living in the property had no, and is maybe more than likely paying flood insurance or paying insurance. So you can ask them what their current cost is, and unless they bought it so many years ago that now it's paid off and they don't have to do it. But foreclosures are and homes that are where somebody has not lived in the property, it's an investor and he's selling it, they don't have to disclose those things. They usually don't even have that information available to you. So now you got to go out and get it.
Per Florida law.
Per Florida law,
So very interesting.
Even though I'm not an attorney, it's what's in the statutes.
Exactly. Right. So you have to go do a bunch of extra digging on your buyer's behalf
And to
of
make
what
sure that
happened.
they're covered.
Right. So that's on short sale bank-owned properties.
And then on bank owned, typically the short sale, the seller, you can find out from
Yeah,
them.
right. The seller has their disclosure
Or
part.
if it's an investor owned property,
Right.
where there may have been a rental and now they're selling it, or somebody who's what we call flipping, they bought it cheap, fixed it up, and now they're selling it. Those people don't have to disclose anything.
They don't have to disclose. So why don't you give the people listening, Bill, what are like your clients? What do you do in that situation for those two scenarios? If it's an insurance issue, how does it work in your process where we identify that really, really quickly? And then also for those short sales, what do you do to find out as a buyer's agent kind of the details of the property if it's not disclosed?
There's a lot of information available. There's the tax records. Okay, that also has the sales records of what happened before with the property. So you can get a good idea of what's been happening. In addition, a lot of times even permits. Permits are an issue with a lot of the older properties, and depending on the neighborhood, where people have gone in and put in additions that were never permitted.
Right.
So we have to look at all of that. But the object is just for me to get as much information and to look at the property. Does it look like it was when it was built? Does it match what's on the tax records? A lot of that's available. And then you go and say, okay, at least my job is to educate the buyer. And also if I'm representing the seller and in taking the listing and everything, make sure that I've got all the information so I can give it to the buyer.
Right.
So that so everybody's covered. But if I'm out there and I am going to do my best to find all the information, all the skeletons in the closet, so to speak.
Right.
Even though I'm not required to tell everybody about skeletons.
Sure.
It's a matter of just finding information and getting it to the buyer so he can make an educated decision. Does he want to buy the house? Does he want to continue with this purchase? Whatever. And things like the flood, you can find out in tax records in the flood zone. That brings up automatically then, what's the flood insurance cost?
Exactly. Right.
You don't wait till the last minute when you're ready to close on the property to get flood insurance.
Yep.
Or home insurance, because there may be something you don't know about.
It's funny, you say all the list of stuff people have to get together to get a mortgage now, and it's like that's one extra step that we don't shy away from is go find out in the first 48 hours, go get some insurance, go get your quotes, get it identified, because all this stuff needs to happen. So our goal is the very first week they're in contract that we figure out the insurance piece. At least have a pretty good idea of it.
And as long as you got a good idea, then you can move forward because you put it in.
Exactly.
Can the person with that insurance, with the taxes as they are, and everything afford the monthly payment?
Right.
And with all the rest of it, PMI, etc.
So we're going to do this. We're running a little bit short on time, so we're going to have to have you come back in again because we didn't really get to everything that we want to talk about. And your other topics, I just think is just some great information to share with people about online versus local. So we'll definitely have to have you come back and talk about that. But we're kind of just running short on time here. Where's a good place that people can get in touch with you via cell phone, via email?
Both. But my email is probably the best way.
Great.
Which is my name, Bill Szydlowski. It's SZYDLOWSKI @MSN.com.
Great. That's Bill, SZYDLOWSKI at MSN.com. Perfect. And then, if you have any questions for Bill, you can shoot him an email there. But hey, thanks so much for coming in today.
Oh, hey, my pleasure, Brian.
Bill,
I appreciate you having me on.
Pleasure is all on our side. Super fun. We'll do it again. And thanks again to our listeners out there. We're so grateful for listening to Florida Real Estate Radio here, where you're going to hear about what's relevant and where to find opportunities and solutions in Florida real estate right now. I'm your host, Brian Heckman, here with Bill Szydlowski. Remember that we're all in this together, so let's grow together. Have a great day.